and welcome. I'm Melinda Kinami. Tonight, the NLC and NUT defy warning by police and take to the streets of Kaduna in protest against the sacking of over 20,000 teachers. State government insists decision is in the best interest of the people. Calls for urgent solution to farmers and herdsmen crisis increase as the victims of recent attacks in Benue State are buried in Makurdi, the state capital. Restructuring of Nigeria debate re-echoes in Enugu as leaders from Nigeria's southern region discuss the state of the nation, one killer herdsman declared terrorist. And European Union asked the United States not to abandon its 2015 nuclear deal with Iran.
On business news tonight, Nigerian Communications Commission and Central Bank affirms January 16 as new deadline for takeover of telecoms firm 9 Mobile.
In sports news, Australian Open champion, reigning champion that is, Roger Federer pitched against the Slovenian Aljaž Bedin in the opening round as he eyes his 6th title in Melbourne.
And from Abuja, United Nations representative to West Africa, Mohammed Ibn Chambers, asks federal government to tackle herdsmen-farmers clashes with all seriousness.
We begin tonight with the protests by striking teachers in Kaduna State, who today made real their threats for a showdown with the state government over the sacking of their colleagues, 21,000 of them who failed the competency test. The teachers defied the warning by the police to drive home their message as they walked the streets of Kaduna before blocking the entrance to the government house.
Greater than the Holy Ghost, greater than the might of armies, magnify the powers of God. We can break the bones of the west. From the ashes of the land, solidarity, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever.
And therefore we are determined, we will make our point, we will submit our letter of protest. If they like, they should act. But I think it's a welcome development because workers have seen that despite our olive hand of fellowship to try to see how those issues are resolved on the table, we have seen that with impunity, the decision of the National Industrial Court is being set aside. With impunity, people are not allowed to exercise their freedom of association. This is not what we bargained for.
It began with what was described as a simple test. But the result has plunged primary education in Kaduna State, northeast Nigeria, in turmoil. The number of teachers that failed the aptitude examination, according to the state government, was so alarming that it was forced to reach a decision to disengage them. But what shocked the entire nation was the number, a whopping 21,000. This set the stage for a showdown between the teachers and the labor union on the one hand, and the state government on the other. Speaking for the government, the State Universal Basic Education Board chairman says the decision is both painful yet necessary if the sector is to be revamped.
We started training of those teachers, but unfortunately we realized that no matter how much we put into the training, the monitoring, it will not have positive result because there was gap between the teachers and the pupils.
But the union is crying foul. insisting that the government brought this upon itself because the system recruited the teachers knowing the deficiency.
When you knew that these people were illegally recruited, at the same time, the same government gave them permanent and pensionable appointment.
Although the matter has been presented to the industrial court, the warring parties are still at loggerheads.
Yes.
Solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong.
But this crowd of protesters, led by the Nigerian Labour Congress, is making its way to the government house with the hope of seeing the governor, El-Rufai, to demand for the unconditional reversal of the sacking of the teachers and other workers. But this plan is thwarted by the security agencies who are enforcing the ban on assemblies or processions deemed illegal by the state government.
They are blocking the highway, they are doing everything, but I am exercising every caution to ensure that it does not lead to total breakdown of law and order.
The president of the union remains defiant in the face of the brick wall.
In the history of our movement, this is the only time that maximum force had been used to intimidate workers for fighting for their rights.
The protesters make themselves comfortable in front of the government house. Finally, a representative of the governor attends to the gathering.
And I want to assure you that when the governor comes back, I'm going to deliver this message that I receive you and that we shall do everything possible to settle this matter amicably.
The union president accepts the call for peace for now.
So it's a victory for all of us. Yes. So we'll give them some time to listen. Yes. If they are able to do the work and conform to what they said, we will not come back here.
The gates may be open, but there is no service as most of the schools are locked. The children play freely now, but they, the society, and nation at large will be the greatest losers if the matter drags on endlessly.
It appears the Kaduna State government is not flustered. The permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education, Mr. Sonny Ochono, says teachers in the state have a higher quality in education than their contemporaries in the north. He explains that the teaching profession in Nigeria must attract first-class brains and not just anyone who was unable to get a job. He mentioned this at a stakeholders meeting on the National Teacher Education Policy in Abuja.
Quality of teachers and teaching has been quite topical. Everybody has been talking about the Kaduna episode and all that happened since then. It is something by way of comparison or assessing the magnitude of the challenge. I want us to realize that Kaduna State actually is one of the better performing states, especially within the northern part of the country. So if you see that as a problem from one of the leading states in the northern states, so you can imagine what the actual magnitude of the problem is across the country. There is a presumption that if you are going to teach, you must at least know more than the person you are supposed to be teaching. And that is why countries that seek to develop encourage the best brains in their society at various levels, attract them, provide incentives for them, create opportunities and the right environment for them to express and impart these special skills and knowledge that they possess to the future generations that will succeed them.
Now let's take a further look at this controversial issue, and I'm being joined live from our Abuja studios by the man in the eye of the storm, the governor of Kaduna State, El-Rufai. You're welcome to the news at 10.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Did you envisage this magnitude of resistance when you decided to implement this decision on the teachers that failed the competency test?
We did. We debated this for a long time. This is a problem that we confronted within months of coming into office, and we took extraordinary measures to study the situation, and we know that there will be resistance. But for us, education is the foundational structure of building a modern society. and we're not going to compromise on the quality of education. And the quality of education relies on the quality of the teacher more than any other tools or infrastructure. We're investing in all of this, and investing in the teacher is the most important one. And we knew that there will be resistance. Any attempt to improve a bad system means resistance. And we know that trade unions are not interested in national interest. They're interested in promoting the narrow interests of their members. So we knew that all this will happen, and we're ready for it.
You've given a rather cogent reason for this decision, but given the reactions that have trailed it, would you consider taking a second look at it?
We have already taken second, third, and fourth looks at this situation. We have studied what previous governments have tried to do, and there is no going back. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that we are not going to reverse our decision. These teachers are gone. We are going to employ new teachers. The process of testing and interviewing the 25,000 teachers we are hiring to replace the 21,780 that we have fired is on, and we are going to go ahead with it. As I said, it is the children of poor and ordinary people of Kaduna State that go to public schools. We are committed to ensuring that they get decent public education, as I got it when I was growing up in Daudawa in Katsina State. I went to a public school and I got decent education. I was orphaned at the age of 8, but I got free basic education, and this is why I'm where I am. I intend, at whatever price, at whatever cost, to bequeath that to children of ordinary people in Kaduna State. There is no going back.
What about the option of retraining? Some people have suggested that rather than outright sack. What's your position on this?
Those that are suggesting retraining have not read our various statements on this issue. This administration of the APC in Kaduna State has already spent 650 million naira on training in the last 2.5 years since we took office. We have trained teachers. We have brought DFID. We have brought funds from the Global Partnership for Education to train teachers. But you cannot train an illiterate to be a teacher. If a person is a near illiterate, you cannot train him to be a teacher. You can only train someone who has the basic skills to be better. The situation we have in which people cannot answer questions that primary 4 pupils can answer means that they are incapable of being trained. Those that are talking about training do not get it. These ones that are going are untrainable. They can do something else with their lives, and will do everything to give them the opportunity to do so, but not teaching. As I said, we are not going to compromise on the quality of the teacher. We intend to attract the best and brightest people to the teaching profession. We intend to pay teachers higher than normal civil service salaries, because we believe in education. We believe it is the ladder that will provide social mobility, as it has done in my life and that of the Deputy Governor and many of us in the Kaduna State government that have enjoyed the benefit of decent public education. We will not compromise on that. We will not be blackmailed, we will not be intimidated. No amount of strikes or protests will make us change our position on this matter.
Now, you mentioned that the government did train some teachers. Are they amongst the ones that still failed that test, the competency test?
We are synthesizing the results of those that failed, but it looks like a large percentage of many of the teachers we trained, some that were hired even with NCE certificates, some even with degree certificates in education, failed the test, which is a big shock to me, because we posted these tests online for everyone to see the kind of questions that those so-called teachers were failing, just to make the point that these people are beyond redemption. We cannot train them to be teachers. We can train them to do something else, absolutely, but not teaching. They are not qualified to teach.
At the moment, there's a disruption in the school system. What options will be left to consider to resolve this crisis?
We will do whatever it takes, and I say this with all sense of responsibility. We will adjust the school calendar to ensure that our children get full term of school. We will do whatever it takes to ensure that we restore the quality of public education. As I said, we advertise for these positions. We've got over 43,000 applications. We have given them NCE equivalent exams. They have been graded. I do not have the report of how many have passed. And the next stage is to interview them verbal interviews, and then we check their certificates before we bring them into the classrooms. But they will be ready to teach because they have bachelors of education or NCE, and we will replace all these teachers, all these vacancies with them. Now, there is a claim that the NUT is on strike. We are monitoring that situation. Again, all those that have joined the strike or have absconded from the classrooms will be disciplined under the public service rules, and we replace them. We have enough pool of qualified teachers from all over Nigeria to replace those that are not qualified or unwilling to give our children quality education. We will not compromise on that.
Governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, thank you so much for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
In part 2, after the break, victims of suspected herdsman attack in Benue State get mass burial in Makurdi, the state capital. Please stay with us.